BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup coming to its conclusion here at Königssee in Bavaria. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another stunning afternoon here at the southeastern corner of Bavaria. We are in a tiny little valley close to the Austrian border on the oldest artificial track in the planet. Martin Haven and John Morgan after a fascinating first heat.
Anja Schneider-Heinz and Annika Drazik, the world champions from last week or 2 weeks ago in Innsbruck. Well, here they got away with a great start time. In fact, it was the best start, but on the bottom part of the track, Schneidi, as we call her, couldn't hold the time, and she's in a bronze medal position. And she's going to chase down 2 North Americans. Here's Alana Myers-Taylor and Carrie Jones. Well, second best start time. And Alana, who struggled on this track last year, likes the way the ice is set up for her, but on the bottom part of the track, a little rough down on the labyrinth, the doodles, but posted the second best time of the heat, only 300ths away from the top sled, which, no surprise, Kelly Humphries, Melissa Loholtz, well, they don't get the best start, 4th best start of the heat, but she rocketed like she usually does, the 2-time Olympic champion, and on the verge of winning a World Cup title this season. She flies down the track, perfect lines, overcomes the start deficiency. She's got the lead after the first run, but boy, is it close.
300ths of a second close, and that can go easily here with just one tiny error. Schneidi definitely in with medal contention, so is Christina Hengster of Austria, Elfa Willemsen of Belgium, and Jamie Grubel-Poser may not be out of the running either. And then from Misha McNeil in 7th place down to Anne van Nieuwenhuizen in 10th position, 1/10 covering 4 sleds, 5 sleds if you count in Maria Constantin of Romania in 11th. And we have a 14 sled field. First off will be the young Austrian Katrin Beil with her brakewoman Victoria Hahn. She's just 500ths behind Stephanie Schneider, the equally young German who has made just 1 World Cup start before this race.
Anja Schneider-Heinz, she's zoned in, and rumor has it this world champion, the Olympic champion from 2006 as a brakeman, might be her last race.
Well, it's a great way to go out as the world champion, unless she's convinced she can really contend for medals again in the games.
A little bit colder than it was about an hour ago,
yes,
hour and a half ago when the first
it.
heat started. There's Kelly Humphries just doing what she's done out here for almost a decade as an athlete, and the last 6 years as a very successful driver.
See down there, they're applying a spritz of fresh glaze of water to the track. There's our starting order, Katrin Beil, the first of the 14 sleds to go down, and our last sled on the ice will be the first heat leader, Kaylee Humphries. She's also our World Cup points leader, needs to beat Jamie Grubel-Poser to guarantee herself the Crystal Globe as the best overall athlete at the end of the season, and that will be presented right after this race. Final slide of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh season. Katrin Beil, Victoria Hahn for Austria. First sled on the ice for this second and final heat in Königssee. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching the action. And they have 500ths of a second to make up to catch the German right in front of them.
Two young Austrians in their first World Cup season, and they were in the World Championships last weekend and 2 weeks ago on their home track in Innsbruck. What a great World Championships. Look at that first curve now. That first curve, that bump there was half as bad as we'll see some sleds come through there, including Alana Myers, who had a real rough transition in that first curve.
Beil actually hit the wall at the top of the bump and on the way in. Ooh, long skid down the bending straightaway.
It's a straightaway that's not straight.
It's about as straight as, I don't know, out of the Kreisel, 360-degree corkscrew turn.
Trouble in here, tricky, but she made it look easy.
It's a good-looking
lines. Ooh, she snuck out of there. She might climb here on the outlet. Oh, she comes out of there nice, too. Very tricky to drive this track. Now you're going uphill for the last 100 meters, and you can make a lot of mistakes going uphill. And 52.21, well, that's way, that's way slower.
Over 3/10 of a second slower than her first trip down.
3,400 slower in the first run. So the track doesn't have record speed, which was 6,500ths off the track record in the first run. The start here, it's steep. You can see there visually, it's a steeper start than their track at Innsbruck. And then in and down, the arms come up. Good technique. The Austrians have been well trained at the start, both their men's and women's teams. And here, this is the exit of the 4 S's. And this long bend away, well, she's got a mistake going, and she doesn't steer. As you can see, she just holds the runners in check, and take your mistake and hit the wall and go to the winner's box.
Big smile from Katrin Beil. There's her brake woman, a former weightlifter, Victoria Hahn. Next up, Stephanie Schneider, a 25-year-old with a 21-year-old brake woman, Lisa Marie Buchwitz. She's from Erlabrunn in Saxony, World Cup rookie in only her second ever World Cup race. The reigning junior world champion.
Third best start of the first run. 5:23 then, 5:24. Look how she's pretty smooth in that curve one. Not a lot of abrupt transition there, but she made the big mistake here on the exit of S's. She was sideways all the way down the track. This is the rookie who got 4th last week in the World Championships. This heat, she is, I don't want to jinx her here, pretty good. And with that, if she gets her through the next exit, she could live in this leader's box a long time with that start time.
Nice exit here down through the labyrinth. That's pretty good.
So this is the inconsistency you have in rookie drivers on a very meticulous track that Königssee is. You can see too high there on the Echo Ball, but she's going to have a half-second lead, which she had 500ths. Now she's got a 6,100ths lead.
6,100, yeah.
That's a lot. So 51, 65. She comes down 1,700ths better. The Austrian team came down 4,000ths worth, 3,400ths worth. But this is what young, inexperienced pilots have to face, being consistent. And this young German, who I'm touting as a lot of talent in the future, and she's young. Last year, she was in the World Championships with Kathleen Martini, finished 3rd as a brakeman. Now watch the strange steering here. Look at that, goes down.
Yeah.
And that's, that's the you just have to nail it in that Kreisel curve. And then out of the finish, look how high she gets in Eckoval, that she sneaks out here. This is where you start going uphill. You can't see it on TV, but that's a pretty steep uphill section in the last 150, 200 meters of the track.
Saw the flags of Saxony in the crowd. There they are, the green and white of Saxony supporting her as a Saxon. Stephanie Schneider with the lead. 12 sleds to go in the final race of the bobsleigh World Cup season. Alexandra Rodionova of Russia with Yulia Belmesteknin, her brake woman. Yulia new to the team since Christmas. 19 years old.
Sprinter.
Yeah, in fact, she slid with Elizabeta Zubkova for 2 or 3 races. This is her 7th race of her career.
In, down, boy, look how quick and efficient they're in the sled. See how hard they hit the first curve. Not bad, medium. You'll see some people sneak in from the right side to the middle, but that also might cause you to steer more. But that bump, that abruption, could really affect your speed there as you exit that first curve. Now, Stephanie Schneider, who's in the leader's box down below, couldn't have done a worse first run, and her second one was pretty good. So she could live in this leader's box, but maybe not. This Russian been on the bottom.
That's a nice looking line from Rodionova, former luge athlete and volleyballer.
1,400's difference down at 2. She's going to take the lead here in the last 100 meters. This is a good drive.
Yeah, she's in the green for the final corner.
51.72.
That's 400 slower than her first run, so that's quite consistent stuff from the Russian.
Former luge athlete,
yeah, keeps her nose in front.
And she competed at the 2010 games in luge for Russia and finished 6th up on the Whistler track. And she's transitioned to bobsled.
Yeah, she also raced in Torino 2006, so she was very young then.
This is the 4 S's up top where you have to, be so meticulous here. You can't let the sled get away from you. And it's still might just barely steer the sled. And it's almost, once you get into that groove, then you have a chance to exit like she just did there. Pretty good lines.
So Alexandra Rodionova. Next up is Maria Constantin of Romania. Andreea Grecu, I expect we will see driving a second Romanian sled next year. She's already started her driving career, but hasn't got enough tracks under her belt yet to be a World Cup standard driver. So she is still the #1 brakewoman as well for the Romanians. So they're going to divide their best team into 2 new teams. It's exactly what the Belgians did when they started their program. Classy bit of Romanian rock from Status Quo, anyway.
Paul Neagu, the coach, manager, fundraiser, does it all for the team. The former Romanian driver for a couple of Olympic Games back in the 80s. Maria can drive, but the 11th best start time is the nemesis that she has to chase down.
Their results are starting to get a little bit of headway in Romania as well, and that's what you need, is a program that you can attract athletes to.
Well, Romanians have got a great tradition in the sport, but their last World Championship medal was in '73. Their last Olympic medal in '68. Grenoble, Pinturo, who just passed away in January.
It's more recent than Great Britain's most recent 2-man medal, that's for sure.
Ooh, big mistake there. Oh, she's tipped over.
She's gone. The slowest.
She's going to finish. She's going to still finish as the leader.
Yeah, she is the leader by 2700s, but they make it all up.
Well, she just...
I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody roll out of there.
Roll into that finish curve. Now watch, they got to catch this sled coming back. They better watch out here. You better get out of the way.
Yeah.
Now, this could go a long ways if somebody doesn't catch it. That's a dangerous technique there.
Well, luckily the runners aren't sharp. They're rounded.
But they aren't used to somebody coming by them upside down.
Exactly.
Usually, like in Whistler, they got a hook. Both athletes are okay. But she's going to be mad at herself.
Yeah.
But you tip over, she's the leader. She wants to know. She laid here. Look at this.
Yeah.
Bang. Gets in, and now she's going to oversteer here. Look at that. Oh, look at the back end of that sled.
Yeah.
That's a first. I've been coming here for a long time. I've never seen anybody do that. In that finish curve, the photographer's going to have a great shot. But...
well, she's just watched that in replay. There you go. There's a first for everything. In the leader's box, not in the hospital. There you go. So Maria Constantin and Andreea Grecu dramatically take the lead of this race. Romania rolling across the finish line to take the lead. Get those helmets checked out. And some Belgian colours as well there in the grandstands. So, Maria Constantin on the right, Andreea Grecu on the left. A minute until they restart. They just want to double check everything and make sure the sleds are out of the way.
Probably some grooves down there that they're checking when they tip over. The sharp edges dig into the ice, and you know, that's the finish spot going uphill.
Yeah.
They're taking the sled away. Looks like no damage to the sled.
Belgian fans there in the grandstand, including Hannah Marion, Elfie Willemsen's former brakewoman, who's now the head of the Belgian Federation.
Olympic medalist in track and field. Beijing. Hurdles, right?
Yeah. There she is, in fact, waving a little green flappy things. And there are your race leaders.
They're getting some time in the leader's box. Not too many people crash and go to the leader's box. That's a first time this year for us.
There you go. Quick selfie or a little photo for one of the officials. Ten sleds to go in the final race of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. And new auntie Anne van Nieuwenhuizen for Belgium with Loes Hobrecht, her brakewoman. And the younger of the 2 Belgian drivers, just 24 years old.
They just turned the little buzz, little bell, and let them go. Now they've got a minute. There's a green clock there that counts down, that tells them they got a minute to go. And I'm sure they're anxious to get it started.
Great woman loose. So her, a pole vaulter who only came into the sport at the beginning of this season.
They had the 14th best start of 14 sleds, 48, so 50, 49. Ooh, the driver didn't get in cleanly, 49. And now watch the hit into the first curve. Not bad.
Well, this is the second of 6 sleds covered by a tenth of a second. And bearing in mind Romanians crashed at the bottom, they may well get in front of them, even if it looks like they're behind almost all the way.
And it's pretty good accomplished driver.
Sit onto the bend away.
Had a little crash and training down here on the exit of the Kreisel. She's pretty tough-minded. Had a couple crashes up in Whistler and still finished 5th in the competition. 4th, I think.
That's a good exit. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, let's find out what she's
good.
She's got a chance here in the bottom with any kind of clean lines.
This is to round out.
Ooh, she's real high in echo ball.
She holds it together.
I gotta believe she got to catch him. Yeah, she got him.
She's in the green.
Look at the way she ducks her head.
That shot where they came round the corner with nobody visible looked like the ghost ship had come out. That was a great shot.
Well, if there's, you know, you're trying to find hundreds of seconds all over the track. You know, of course, the Romanians were upside down on that finish line, but
yeah, so we couldn't see them either. That's two sleds
in a row. But you know, the expression, the headless horseman. You know, this is up top. This was pretty good into the long bend away. Pretty clean line. Accomplished driver. And down here, this was runners on the ice into the exit. Pretty high here.
Yeah, late height, but she manages to avoid slamming too hard into the wall there. And then coming out the final corner like the Marie Celeste, the ghost ship with no crew.
Always smiling.
Yes. So Anne van Nieuwenhuizen leads for Belgium, and we have 9 sleds to come. Nadezhda Sergeyeva for Russia with Yulia Egoshenko, brand new brakewoman on the back of this Russian
The driver slipped there. Looked to me like the driver slipped her left foot.
Luckily, it's a long run down to the first corner, and so all under control.
She did pretty good in the first run.
She had a very smooth-looking run.
She had the 8th best start time, 9th best finish, but this is the first year for her. We just saw her in St. Moritz, was the first event.
Started driving 2013 after starting as a brakewoman in 2010. She came in from the Russian heptathlon program.
Let's see what she does here in this little challenge that Canadian luge athletes call the doodles.
A bit bumpy.
Not bad. It's going to be close, though. She's going to have a good exit here.
Only a few hundreds in it. She's in the red. Climbing up to the line. I think van Nieuwenhuizen might hold it. She needs to duck under the cowling. Brakewoman pops up.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Good way to finish the season for those two. Sergeyeva, well, rookie year. No, not bad.
Top 10 finish.
The start, I like the start on her. I think she's got a chance. Her brakeman is, you know, not that big. Was she hurt here? No,
I think she just caught her foot on the cowl on the way out.
Well, she caught her. She slipped at the start. Watch your left foot here. Watch this, your last power step.
Yeah, it really did.
No, maybe she didn't. I don't know.
No,
That looked weird. Now, she still can't get in. Look, she has to readjust. So she
her feet went in behind her.
Yeah, so she didn't get in there cleanly. But well, she got down. But that must have cost. I bet you that cost her something.
Yep. Well, concentration as much as anything. Again, luckily, long run down to the first turn here. So yeah, Sergeyeva looking down at her left knee. Looks like she clouted that or wrenched it a little.
Saw the runners there in that sled with a marking on them, a number. That's the FIBT tracks these numbers, or these runners, week to week. IBSF, excuse me, International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation. Changed names from the Federation International Bobsleigh and Toboggan. And name change was to accommodate the word skeleton.
So it's to protect the innocent always. This is Mariama Yamanka of Germany, 8th after first heat, 100th ahead of Sergeyeva, the Russian, 200th ahead of our current leader, Anne van Nieuwenhuizen.
9th best start, 37 in the first heat, 38. Watch the entry. Hard. I don't know, I gotta believe that is a detriment to your time. Hard to judge that. Visually something to watch.
Not a bad exit out of S4.
She's had a great season coming in as a rookie. Never saw it at the tracks in North America. Took on Lake Placid, no problem. Park City, no problem. Whistler, no problem. She got out of North America with no crashes. She's just been doing it.
Never finished outside the top 10. She top result, 5th position.
Whistler.
Yeah.
Oh, it's close. This is right to the 100th. Right to the 100th of a second here. They should be.
Oh, and she just squeezes in front. And that is why Anne van Nieuwenhuizen ducks her head, because 2/100ths of a second does make a difference.
There's got to be a 100th and duck in your head there.
There's got to be at least one, yeah, no question.
But great season for this young German pilot. Been impressed with the fact that she's taken on all these tracks she hasn't seen and never crashed. And, you know, she's obviously got some eyes and hand talent. She needs to improve at the start. And she'll be a challenge for the rest of the teams. This is what they want, is another German challenging.
Yeah.
Down here, these were nice lines. Watch the back end of the sled. How smooth is this? Nice. Just keep your eyes on that line. That's what you're going to want to see on everybody else.
She's only raced on 2 German tracks this year. And I'll rephrase that. She's only raced twice in Germany this year. Both times were here because she missed Altenburg and Winterberg early in the season. Misha McNeil of Great Britain has also had an on and off season. She raced here before Christmas, and she's done one other World Cup race, and that was in St. Moritz. Alicia Kiddle behind her. Natalie Durack was racing with her for most of the season. Alicia did the team competition in the World Championships 2 weeks ago.
Impressed with the start time. 5:33 in the first run, 7th best start. That's the best start that we've seen Mika get all year. 5:35 in this run. So
Essex girl behind her, Alicia Kiddle.
Look at how low she is in the calendar. You can barely get her eyes above the calendar. She sits down there with the best aerodynamic profile of anybody.
It's not a disadvantage being low in the cow as long as you
That's a skid there. No, three hits. Let's see if she can hold on here. Exit is so important. Smooth transition here. Watch the back end of the sled.
She's 300s ahead of Mariama Yamanka.
But it's only 400s now.
It's only 4. This is tiny margins.
Uphill section's got to be straight.
It's another good-looking drive.
Beautiful
Very
drive.
Smooth.
Should be the leader.
Well, Misha McNeil saves the best till last.
Best finish of her World Cup career.
Yeah.
The junior Olympic silver medalist.
Yeah.
Look at her.
Yeah, she should be pleased with that. That's a really good pair of runs. Really good pair of runs.
Good for her. What a way to finish.
Yeah.
Best finish ever. Look, I'm sure she's relieved because she hasn't done very well in the World Cup.
Opposite side of the coin for the British skeleton girls, who finished with their worst race results of the year.
Start time, though. She hasn't had these types. Look how low she is. I mean, her head's tilted back. Watch the transition here, curve 1. Look at when you see the heads. That's energy left to right.
Nice job, Mish.
Nice job.
Big smile, and Alicia very happy with that.
Get your helmet off, Alicia. Go to the leader's box.
In the leader's box at least for 1. Jamie Grubel-Poser of the USA, 6th in the first of 2 heats here in Königssee, Bavaria, the final bobsled race of the season. Well, Jamie was in the bronze medal position behind winner Kaylee Humphries and second place Alfie Willemsen here in December. If she could get back in the medals from here, that would be a big turnaround. But the gap to bronze was only 16/100ths of a second after the first heat. A clean run could get her up into contention.
28 in the first run, 36. Wow, what happened? She had the 5th best start with a 28, and then she went to a 36. Something happened there at the start. We didn't see it. But that wasn't the start that she's 2nd in World Cup points because she's got dominant starts. And the last didn't have a very good World Championships and finished out the medals in St. Moritz. The only time she's been off the podium all year.
2 wins this season, and silver and 3 bronze medals.
She's got a lot of time in the bank here, a little rough square.
Well, her battle is not with current leader Misha McNeil, it's with the remaining 5 sleds.
32 pulling away, as she should. This is the 2nd World Cup points, and this will mean she'll do no worse than 2nd in World Cup finish points. But nice job, Great Britain. So Jamie Grubel-Poser will come down with Second in World Cup points for the season. I don't know if that's good enough to move her up in this race.
She might move up one. We'll have to wait and see. The gap to Alfie Willemsen, the next sled, was only 0.03 of a second.
What happens here, though? I don't understand why they're so slow. Why they're 800 slower.
Again, we're only talking about 0.08 of a second,
still,
half the blink of an eye, but you're right.
Everybody else is pretty close to their start times, 100, 200's off, but here it's a square exit of the third labyrinth. A little touch there, not bad on the run. She did a pretty good job in the finish. Look, she limping? No.
Just banging the ice out of the spikes. There's Jamie Grubel-Poser. He's telling the story about her and her husband, Christian, having to use Google Translate as they had a digital relationship. Fifth after the first of our two heats here was Elfie Willemsen and Sophie Verkrijzen for Belgium. Willemsen, the 30-year-old former javelin thrower, came into this as part of a reality TV show to create a team for the 2010 games. Sophie turned 24 on Monday, former basketballer.
Second at this event in December.
Yeah.
Start 5:44. So she's only 100th worse. That's why I can't figure out why Lauren Gibbs and Jamie Grubel-Poser were so much slower.
These two had 2 silver medals in the first 3 races of the season. They have not been on the podium since this race in December.
That detriment of the red numbers was because of the start. Now watch, 200s, this could be green on this exit. This is where her talent takes over. Driving.
Great exit.
Lost time back.
And here we go. Let's see if she can find it down through the bottom corners. This is where she came back in the first heat.
The 2 could be right to the 100. This is what she does. She's the queen of speed in most of these tracks. She turned it over. Wow, that's what she does. Top 5.
She was
worse, but
she was 300s faster than Jamie Grubel-Poser in the first heat, 100 slower in the second, so 200s in front on aggregate.
But that time she only gave away 800s to Grubel. In the first heat she gave away 1800s to Grubel to start.
Yeah. So Jamie's start got slower and Alfia's got faster.
I don't think that was her best drive down the track.
No, it looks a little bumpy down through the lower labyrinth. And another top 6 finish.
Look, she's got a little clue vine there, looks like.
Well, they've not been out of the top half dozen all year yet. End of season
like
blue
coffee.
line, there you go.
Good job, ladies.
Good work by somebody. Alfie Willemsen of Belgium leads the race with 4 sleds still to go. Can Christina Hengster of Austria move up from the 4th place that she currently has, the 4th place she had on this track in December, into the medals? Martin Ava and John Morgan watching the last 3 sleds of the bobsleigh season.
5:31, 4 sleds to go here. 5:31 is the start. 5:33, watch the entry. Is it abrupt? Not bad, but definitely had a little bump there. 2400's lead, it's a lot of time. And Hengster, she's medaled on this track.
She was only 900ths in front of Elfie Willemsen of Belgium. If this lead remains all the way down the track, she could well be in the medals.
She got 4th in this race in December. She needs to be clean here. Watch the back end of the sled.
Look at that. That could almost double by the line. She's got a lot of speed on board.
Look at this straightaway, perfect. 26 to 26. She's holding off Williams on the bottom. This could be a medal run. Wow, 51-22.
That's a really good slide.
Austrians look on, and this is a little payback for Christina. Crashing in the first heat of the World Championships was a shock 2 weeks ago. She went from 9th after crashing in the first heat. She moved all the way up into 6th place by the 4th. So they're happy, they're relieved. They did as good as they possibly could do.
Well, they've had a big season, never out of the top half dozen.
Watch these lines. Look how quiet, no head moving. Watch the back end of the sled. Nice, boy, did she get on the take on to that 14 curve. And then down here on the, oh, this is the finish area. She got a little early
Cost them
there.
a couple of hundreds. But big smiles again from Christina Hengster and Sanne Dekker.
No worse than 4th.
Yeah. And that might be enough for a medal here. There's Eva Mühlenheiser offering her congratulations. 3 to go here in Königssee, Bavaria. Can Anja Schneiderheinze, the newly crowned world champion with Annika Dracek from Winterberg, can she claim the final medal of the season? Schneider, the silver medalist in St. Moritz, the venue where she last won a year earlier.
Her best start in the first heat was the best start of the competition. 5:13.
Excellent.
Wow, she
ties
the start record. She knows she has to go for it. She gave up a lot of time on the bottom part of the track. And the rumor has it, this is her last competition. Someone's been saying that she might retire after this.
It could be a good way to go out as the world champion, unless she believes she can win the Olympic medal in 2 years' time.
She's 36 years old now.
She's 37 now. She'll be 39 by the Games.
Won the Olympic gold medal as a brakeman in 2006.
She's got a lot to think about this winter. Will she end the season with a medal? She's
2,700. She's dropped some time.
But she can't
Down
lose
to
it
22
all.
now. She's not going to lose that much. So this is at least a bronze medal for Anja Schneiderheinze. So
only the second of the season.
51.04. Yeah, she's only won an Olympic medal or a World Championship gold.
Yeah. And a silver medal in St. Moritz. So it's only the second World Cup.
But a start
of the season, but
that puts a lot of pressure on the next 2 sleds coming up. They can't make mistakes because that was a great start. That wasn't a great speed drive down the track, but good enough for at least the bronze. Look at the rudder tips here, the exit of the 4 S's. Skidding. How quiet is that? You don't see any skidding out of those runners. And then this is a little bit later on down there. She has to get around the bend around with 2 hits, 3 hits. Well, that was a hard hit there. That was costly because the front and back bunks hit it.
Schneider, an Olympic and world champion as a brakewoman, and now a world champion as a driver. She leads with 2 sleds to go. Alana Myers-Taylor has got the pocket rocket Kerry Jones, all 5'1" of her behind. And Alana returning to the track where a crash led to concussion that robbed her, she says, of a year of her career. She has never felt better, and she's put the bogey behind her.
So they got 2 issues here. A 5:18 start in the first run, which is second best. So this should go 16 or 15 here. And watch her entry into curve 1. 14, awesome. Watch the entry to curve 1. She was real abrupt in the first heat, and she was real abrupt there again. She's told me she's had problems into that curve all week. She says the ice is tilted one way, and she can't get over to the takeown where she wants.
Well, she's only 300ths of a second off the lead after the first heat, so this is about distancing herself from Schneiderheinze and trying...
1200ths wasn't a good sign.
Trying to put down a run that Kaylee Humphries can't match.
Get up to 15 or 16 here. Yes, that's expected.
Beautiful
nice lines there. Where she had all the problems last year, she's gone through there perfect. This is a good run. Remember, she's only 300ths out of the lead. 2100ths.
A stunning run here, and she's got a really great run going. 50.97. That's a really good run. It's not going to be as quick as the first heat, I don't think, this track. But that could be just enough.
She beat Kaylee Humphries at the start by 700ths in the first heat. Humphries might going to have to think about getting into the 20s or maybe even a 19th start to challenge. You know, it's like challenging for the gold I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But Myers and that little rocket in the back, that Kerry Jones from Baylor University, her first year in the sport. I mean, she's the smallest athlete in the field, but boy, she's one of the quickest.
Kaylee Humphries, 2-time Olympic champion, 2-time world champion with Melissa Lutholtz behind her. A sprinter from Barhead, Alberta. She had her first slide at age 3 on a little sled out in the garden on a slide that her dad had bought, granddad had built her for the summer.
Only athlete with the goggles on, and boy, they're going to get behind here at the start, but this is a driver. If there's anybody can drive to a gold medal, and this is what Kaylee's going to have to do here. She's going to be at a deficit at the start, going to be red numbers by the time she gets into the S's, but if there's anybody can find a way to get the gold medal on the bottom part of this track, it's this one here. So 25 in the first run, should be 21, 22. She doesn't want to have a 25 again.
Former ski racer and brakewoman.
So it's red numbers already, down by 7. But if she gets this down to 5, 3 or 4 or 500s, red numbers on the exit of the S's, then she'll pull her magic on the bottom.
She may not be ahead even at the exit of the Kreisel.
This is by the watch. I still think she's two-time Olympic champion, and she's got as good eyes and hands as anybody in the field. And this is where she's the master.
Speed now picks up down here in the lower labyrinth.
Here she comes. Behind. Perfect. Perfect. If she's straight right here,
not quite as quick. This could be very close.
Right to the 100th. This is going to be.
We may even have a tie for the gold medal to the 100th of a second. 300s behind. Alana Myers-Taylor really gets the monkey off her back to this Königssee.
Vindication for her.
Victory.
Vindication for her for what she went through last year, crashing in the final run when she had a big lead on the exit of Kreisel. But Kelly Humphries, what a season. She just won again the 2015-16 World Cup title. First time for Kerry Jones to be the gold.
First win for Kerry Jones. So that year, fighting the after effects of a slew of crashes early last season, has all been put behind her. And the last 2 World Cup races back, Alana Myers-Taylor has won them both. Katie Humphries, Melissa Lottholtz.
Second, but this is the start. They got beat at the start. They were beat by 10 hundredths, which is 30 hundredths at the bottom. Humphries pulled her magic as much as you can, but she just ran it. She did another 50 meters of track.
And Alana was just neater through the lower labyrinth as well. Kaylee almost had her. Almost. I mean, we're talking 300ths of a second.
She had a deficit before Kreisel. She ate into it, but she ran out of track.
So Kaylee, second in the World Championship a couple of weeks ago, and second here to round out the season. But she will take the Crystal Globe as the top driver of the season. Jamie Grubel-Poser will be the runner-up, and in 3rd place, Christina Hengster of Austria. But this is the victory run for Alana Myers-Taylor. All sorts of demons in her head this week coming back to this track. And she has, I mean, this one here, look at this.
Perfect.
That
this
was
is a track
beautiful.
Where she crashed last year, and it started that whole concussion syndrome for her that, you know, put her behind an 8 ball.
Yep.
But look at the smile. What a way for her to end the season. And that little rocket she had in the back. Wow, Kerry Jones.
Yeah, first win for her. With Alana Myers-Taylor on the top step of the podium, 300ths ahead of Kaylee Humphries. Anja Schneider-Heinze seals the bronze in what might or might not be the last race of her career. Christina Hengster, Elfie Willemsen, Jamie Grubel-Poser, all in the top 4 in the World Cup rankings, and again in the top half dozen. 2 beautiful slides from Misha McNeil and Alicia Kittle put them in 7th ahead of Germany's Mariama Yamanka. And another good run from Nadezhda Sergeeva gives her a top 10 finish. Well, the lights are on, the sun has gone, the temperature has sunk through its boots. It's cold out after a beautiful afternoon here in Königssee, Bavaria. And the Women's Bobsled World Cup season is tied up. Alana Myers-Taylor, Kerry Jones. A good come-from-behind win, only 300ths behind. We ought to stop calling this a deficit, because 300ths of a second, that's as close to a dead heat as you can see with the naked eye. If they were side by side, it would be like the finish of the Daytona 500. You wouldn't know who was in front. Let's set Plotzer, the coach.
Sandra Kiriasis, former Olympic champion in 2006.
You spotted that from behind. I couldn't tell who that was in the hat, but you were absolutely right. You were looking out the window. I was looking at the monitor. She's gone a bit blonder and a bit less red than she was. She's going down to talk to the crowd. And of course, it was with her that Anja Schneider-Heinze started her success. Olympic champion 2006, world champion as well on the back of Sandra's sled. And Schneider, will she race again? I don't know, it'd be a great way to go out as the world champion. But I'm sure she'll have a long spring and summer to contemplate her future. Whatever, win, lose or draw, hasn't been a bad career for Anja Schneider-Heinze or for Sandra Kiriasis. What a great location this is, isn't it? We were walking down between the runs today, just looking around us. Everywhere you look, it is absolutely gorgeous. And that's one of the delights of this sport, not just the winter family that we have, who are so embracing and so sporting with each other, but the great locations this sport takes you to. We saw the Crystal Globe. That will be presented to Kaylee Humphries at the end of the awards presentations. Königssee, Bavaria, the final World Cup race of the season is done, and Kaylee Humphries is the winner of the Crystal Globe, ahead of Jamie Grubel-Poser, with Christina Hengster finishing the season in third spot, just ahead of Elfie Willemsen. Anja Schneider-Heinze, the new world champion, in fifth, with Anne van Nieuwenhausen making it 2 Belgians in the top half dozen in the season's points. And that is a great vindication for their new sponsor for the season and of their program continuing to produce the goods. And a great vista here. Not that the athletes will have had much time for that during the race. Alana Myers-Taylor fighting from a 300th of a second deficit to win by the same margin, overturning the double Olympic champion Kaylee Humphries. Alana Myers-Taylor taking the bronze in the Women's World Championship, Kaylee the silver, good behind Anja Schneider-Heinze, but those positions were reversed here.
Yeah, good vindication for Alana Myers. Last year crashed out on this track in the second run when she was going for an easy